Hi guys, Mr. Hiblong here, and I'm going to be looking at Unit 1, Lesson 2, Activity 2 with you guys. So when we're looking at this, we can see that we have a railroad sign and two copies of that railroad sign. Now they are a little bit different, but they are copies of one another. Some of them might be scaled copies and some of them might not be scaled copies, but they are copies of each other. Now, we're looking at corresponding parts. And if you were here at school and you were sitting in Mr. Anderson's class and my class was set up exactly like Mr. Anderson's class, if our classrooms were absolutely the same, they were set up exactly the same way, and you were sitting by the window in Mr. Anderson's class, then if I asked you to go to the corresponding location in my class, you would get up, walk over, and you would sit by the window because you were already sitting by the window in Mr. Anderson's class. So you'd go from the seat by the window to the seat by the window. Those would be the same relative location to the class. You're sitting by the window over there. That's the relative location. I'm sitting by the window in Mr. Anderson's class. So then you would move to Mr. Hiblong's class and you would sit by the window because by the window is the relative location inside of Mr. Hiblong's class. So looking at these right here, these railroad signs, we can look at these and we can see that this point right here, L, has a relative location to the rest of this sign. It is on the opposite side of this R. It's right beside this R. It's on the edge of this X right here. It's on the midpoint of this angle. It has a relative location. So the point that is in the same relative location on this is point B. And the point in the same relative location on this copy is point V. All three of those points are corresponding points to one another because you have an original and you have copies. And because they are copies of this original, it has those corresponding points. They're in the same relative location on the original and the copies. Now, we can also look at this further than just points because we're talking about relative parts. So here are relative angles. We can say that all of these angles are the angles that are on the bottom of the X on the railroad sign. They have the same relative location. So NOP, DEF, and XYZ are all corresponding angles to one another. Now, we'd already asked you, me and Mr. Anderson on your Google form have already asked you guys to fill out in your book a table that is talking about all of these corresponding parts. And I'm now going to give you the answers to that. This is the answers to those corresponding parts. And if you will make sure that yours matches this, and if it doesn't, go back and see why it doesn't match. What was missing? What did you miss out on? And actually pay attention to that because that's how we learn. I'll catch you in the next video.